Which I appreciate.
Over at the CRC Computer Lab, we have some folks that come in and they don't walk really well. So some of them can't get out of chairs because they roll. So when they step back, the chair rolls with them. Yeah.
That was it. This one would just shoot around.
Clock's a little slow, so I'm on my phone. It's 6:29 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Millis here now.
Is that a big goal because you're a big guy?
All right. Yep. I've had worse allergies, and no, I do not have COVID, but my eyes get bad and shut for the past 2 weeks. I feel like I have to drink something.
Got that ready, Deb?
Please go ahead now.
I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, don't wait.
All right. Before we start the meeting tonight, I'd like to invite you to say, do the pledge of allegiance as you said desire, if I don't strangle myself again. And with that, I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call the meeting to order at 6:30. Do I have any modifications to the agenda?
We have an action needed item, the recommendation to approve an out-of-state field trip for Chris Townsend and 9 students to attend the International Manufacturing and Technology Show in Chicago, Illinois, September 11th through 13th, 2022.
Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation for the out-of-state field trip for Chris Townsend and the 9 students to Chicago? Second? Any discussion? This is great. This is good for the kids, and this is good for the program. So I appreciate that.
Well, aren't we just agreeing to add it to the agenda?
And with that, roll call. Carol? Yes.
Amy? Yes.
Vicky?
Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He says,
Can you hear me?
should be popping up on that screen. I don't know why it went away.
It's okay, we have 4 out of the
Yeah.
5, so you can take that on the 4 out of 5.
Motion carries 4-0 at this time. Next.
I have a consent agenda item for the Brown County High School custodian, Katie Underwood, $12.25 per hour, part-time, no benefits, effective September 1st, 2022. This is a new position.
Do you have a motion to accept the consent agenda item for high school custodian Katie Underwood to start tomorrow part-time?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Carol? Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes. Stephanie?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Vote if we can't see him.
Motion carries. 4-0. Next is recognition of visitors and comments from the audience. This is your opportunity to comment or share information or anything not already on the agenda. And with that, next is Craig presentation.
All right. I need to stand or if I sit or what would you like me to?
I say so, like a
Okay. One thing I want to talk a little bit tonight, briefly, and I gave each of you some forms to kind of follow along, and I'll let you know when we get to those. But I want to talk a little bit about STEM education and a goal that we have, and really statewide is that all schools will be STEM certified by 2025. Okay, and so I just want to talk about what the process looks like, where we're at, and you're in the process. And really, I think I can speak for Shane and Kelly a little bit too, and where they're at. Excuse me. So anyhow, Amy, I think you were part of the STEM certification in junior high. So I did not actually get to participate in the very beginning stages of STEM certification in junior high. I came in the middle of that. So when I showed up, we were, and I'll kind of guide you through where I came in to junior high. So I have a little bit of experience with this. And you know what, and let's be honest, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some things. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some more of our teachers' time to get this done, but you know what, that's okay. You know, it's in the best interest for our students and our school and our community. First and foremost, I introduced the rubric to my team actually yesterday. So we met in ILT. I told them it was coming last week. Said, hey, this is something that's going to be on the docket. We're just going to start familiarizing ourselves with what we have and where we're at. Sarah Cochran and I had a few conversations this past summer about what it's going to take to be STEM certified, some of the things that we have in place already. And, you know, the good news is, you know, we're already doing a lot of things. I'm going to give you some really brief examples of some of the things that we're doing. So to get started here, it says, step number one, the school leadership team conducts self-evaluation. Basically what we're doing is, and that's kind of what we started doing yesterday, is just looking at what we have, like where we're starting from. Okay, the evaluation tool is on a website called Learning Lab through the Division of Education, State Division of Education. And basically what it is you're gonna look at what you have and what you're doing and determine whether you're in progress, you're fully invested, or you're not ready yet. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, it's very, very, very basic right now. Okay, so just basically you're trying to decide, you know, what the attitude of the school is towards them. Okay, describing your STEM culture is the best way to do that. So we're not actually into the rubric that you have a copy of yet. We're just going through and just saying, hey, you know what, I think we're really good here. We're good here. We just need to do a little better in this area here. But the domains are the same. Okay, so what you're just going to rubric, there's, I think 4 or 5 domains, but those are going to be the same. Okay.
Do you want to talk about what STEM is?
Okay, STEM is, so essentially what we're looking at with STEM is, the best way I like the acronym, off the top of my head, I can't remember what the acronym of it is, but
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
mathematics, yeah.
And if we do STEAM, it's STEAM, and that has art.
Right. So, and I remember with Ryan, when I came on, he asked the same question. I don't know, like always would ask. But it's important to know that. And to be honest with you, when they come and do a walkthrough and a site visit, they're going to ask the kids. They're going to talk to kids. I'm going to get to that here in a minute. So, but yeah, so like I said, the first thing is just kind of identifying what our culture is in our building. And I think as you go through our school corporation in general, we have a really good STEM culture. But anyhow, so the first thing to do is identify that culture, okay, and then we're going to fill out the form, we're going to send it in, okay, and at the state level, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our brief starter application, and they're going to say, all right, you know, you're ready, okay, you're ready to start looking at the application itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that application you have in front of you, okay, it's going to look like this right here, certification evaluation rubric, like this. And what they're going to do is they're going to go through and they're going to look at the evidence that we have to prove that our culture is where it needs to be for STEM, and they're going to rate us. Okay. And the rating system is about 75 points. And the goal is to get 57 points or more. Okay, so that's the goal. Now, like I said, at the junior high level, when we started STEM certification, I was not here for that initial evaluation. When I came into play, we were just a little past that. Not much past that, but we were a little past that. And like I said, what they're going to do is they're going to go through this, and they're going to start going and saying, all right, we're going to assign you 1 point because of what you're using for your evidence is 1, is 2, is 3, and they're going to add all that up at the end. Now, going through this, you know, just with my team yesterday, there's some things that we do really, really well. And there's some things that, you know, we're not going to have to make a lot of changes to. A good example of that would be for domain 1, common work time. Common work time, is provided with your interdisciplinary teams. Okay, we offer that now. That's something we do. We do cluster. We have cluster every week. Okay, that's not going to be hard to do. Okay, that's a free. All right. Our second domain, curriculum assessments. Okay, teachers use a variety of assessment methods to demonstrate STEM learning. Okay, we do that anyhow. We use a variety of assessments to do that. That's not something we're going to have to change. That's something we do anyhow. Okay, so that would be a 3. Okay. The next domain, instruction. Students, instructional work groups, 2 times per week, students working groups. Folks, we do that daily, not really. Okay, so like I said, these are all things that we're doing through NIT. A lot of this is going to transition into being STEM certified. And finally, the last domain. Partnerships. Now, I will say this, when it comes to partnerships at our school, we have tons of partners at the end here. We just do. It's finding the right partners that are going to help us through the STEM process. Matter of fact, I want to say my first day at Van Buren in the official principal capacity, I got a phone call from one of my parents who is an engineer at Cummins. Hey, I want to come help out. I know that we have a STEM initiative coming. How can I help? Obviously, Cummins is going to be somebody that we're going to want to partner with. Okay, and I know there's a ton of others. So building those relationships, building those partnerships with not just Cummins, but at the junior high we had 5 people at Forcia, LHP, Columbus Regional, Crane Naval Station. I mean, we had tons of partnerships, and I would like to build something similar to that at the elementary level. It might not be as robust, but I would like to do something similar to getting those type of companies, corporations involved. One of my fondest memories actually of STEM at the junior high, STEM certification, the process, we had students that want to cook. And I don't know if you are aware of what they do at cook, but they do everything by hand. And so when they're placing their catheters, you have rooms, because we went on the tour to cook, but they have rooms upon rooms of people just running catheters through these plastic tubes. And I mean, hundreds of people doing this. And so their big problem that they had was that a lot of their workers get carpal tunnel. That's all they do, is using their hands all day long, every day. And so the problem that our students were trying to help them solve through this partnership was, how do we have these people continue to do their job, but not use their hands like they're using them? How do we save them from getting carpal tunnel? So our students came up with all these different ideas and actually created prototypes of devices that they could use. They're still using their hands, they're still looking at it as they do it, but are saving their fingers and their hands from carpal tunnel. And they got to present to the president of Cook. And so, not that that's not neat enough, but some of their work was actually patented. Okay, so there are patents on some of these are 8th graders. Okay, some of them 7th graders. So just, like I said, some fantastic opportunities through the partnerships that we've had through STEM. Now, so once we do that, and once we are identified as a school that has at least 57 points, then we move on to the next part of the application process. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to get a site visit. And so someone from the state level is going to come to the school, and they're going to sit down with myself and our team, our STEM team, and they're going to start asking us questions. They go into each classroom, as they did at the junior high. They talk to the kids to make sure the kids are using STEM verbiage. It's actually a very thorough investigation to become STEM certified. I mean, it really was. He spent, spent all morning with us. I mean, it wasn't just a quick visit. Hey, how are you doing? Let's still visit a classroom and we're going to be on our way. No, they went to every classroom. They talked to kids in the hallway passing period. We're talking to kids. So, like I said, it's not just a thanks for doing this. And at the end, they give you some really, really good feedback as to, hey, you know what, here's some areas that we need to improve on. Hey, you're doing this, you're rocking this area. And then once you take that feedback and you fix anything that you need to fix, then you submit for STEM certification. I remember this very, very well. They came back, they talked with Mr. Garman, and it went really, really well. I mean, we were really, really rocking it, to be honest with you. There wasn't a whole lot that we had to change. And then we submitted our application for STEM certification. And it's lengthy. Okay, there are quite a few things that we have to do. Basically, you submit your school information, but most importantly, you're looking at your domains. Okay, you have to submit what your evidence is. And to be honest with you, you just want to be as detailed as possible. They give you an opportunity, so if you turn something in that's not really what they're wanting, or wanting a little bit more, to give you some time to make changes to the certification. So, and that's pretty much the process for doing this. Now, like I said, we're at the beginning of this, and I'm actually really excited about it because I do know that NIAT, what we've been doing, especially with the rubric, it carries over. And so you don't see, at least on my stack, nobody panicking, oh my gosh, we're gonna do this. It's more of, that's what we've been doing. Okay, so just like I said, a few tweaks here and there. So, I'm really excited about it. Like I said, it's a part of something that I've done before. So, and it looks kind of daunting when you look at it on paper, but it's definitely something that I think has a lot of value, especially with the way the world is moving. So the way I look at it, we're giving our students a leg up on what the world is asking. This is going to ask of them. Sorry. So, are there any questions? I know it's a lot in a little bit of time, but feel free to. Yeah.
So when do you think you will complete this process? Like put that put. So when?
Okay. So.
When is the next?
Okay. So, like I said, the first stage is seeing where we're at. If in talking with Sarah, like I said, this was this past summer. This year, we're going to put it all together, and hopefully, when the next, so that means this coming school year, so piecing all this together, getting everything lined up, ready to go, and this coming school year, submit our application, and go from there.
Yeah.
Within this 22-23 school year.
23, 24.
That's what.
Yep.
The
So
goal-
basically, yeah.
The goal for the district is to have all 3 elementary STEM certified by 2025.
Yes.
So that's the goal, and that's a goal of each of the elementaries, but is attached to that 3 to 5 year objective being STEM certified by 2025. That is also connected to our student outcome.
Shadow. Are there any other questions? It's really a fun process, to be honest with you, and it just especially when you see what the students are doing and you see some of the products that come out of this, it's really, really awesome to watch. Like I said, it's going to look a little different, obviously, than what they did at the junior high level, but some of the things that the students got to do, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. We had some students that, were just difficult in the classroom. Every school's got them. But when we introduce these STEM projects, they have to pick something that they love to do. Even see one of the students, helping work, trying to figure out how to add sound to a motor. Okay, so making a motor louder. So I remember a particular student on the top of my head was like, I'm in, couldn't get him away from it.
My dad would love it.
Yeah, right. How do we make this louder? And see the corporate problem. This was for SIA, and the problem that we have. I never thought this would be a problem, but cars are just too quiet today.
Yes, they are.
So purchase, or what they call buyer satisfaction, is like way low. Okay, so the students had to come up with a way to make the car sound louder, to make the road sound louder in the car. It's just what we're used to. What we grew up with. Well, now you have these what we call smart car electric cars. They're not loud. So people buy this one. This is what we want. So that was one of the problems that they had. So the student was all over, like, yeah, we'll make it louder. I promise we'll make it louder. And some of the other students in the class actually found other things. For example, in the kitchen, how do we make a stove louder so that way when you walk away, you go into the living room, you're watching your show, and you kind of forget about it, that you're cooking something, that it reminds us that the stove is still on. So things that you really don't think about, but these kids were all over it. It was a lot of fun. So, any other questions?
Are we intending to be doing the A as art, as part of our STEM? I know that's not part of the DOE part of this, but I know that it's something that we've talked about as an arts community that we think we want to make sure that's a part of it.
You know, I think that I look at STEM holistically in the building. So it's not just gonna be one group of students that everybody's going to be. So we're gonna find a way to make every class a part of this. That's the goal. That's my goal. So yeah, yes. It says, really fun process. It's a neat process watch. I invite all of you out, especially when we start going with this. Please come visit us. And come out and visit anytime you want, but especially when you get going with this, I had a ball watching kids do it. And I know that I'm really excited to see the work they're going to do. So, like some of the things that they might be able to do is going to be kind of exciting.
Okay, looks like Donna's on deck now. Dawn, sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, I had the D.
You had the D in the end. Just had little extras and stuff in. All right, mine's not gonna be near as fun as making cars loud or anything. I have money, so. So what I've got tonight is, I've got the presentation up on the screen. There were copies that were on the back table if anybody needed one to grab and to kind of follow along. So what I'm gonna talk about is our budget, so our finances. Every year we have to submit items to the state of Indiana. The name of the group is the DLGF, Department of Local Government Finance. They deal with every type of entity, all the way from a county, city, school, town, townships, all the way down to solid waste. They deal with any entity that charges property taxes and uses property tax or any other government funding. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what we're looking at for next year. Right now is the time that we start gearing up and getting all of these things scheduled up for the next year. So I've got 3 days up on here, and I cut right down the middle. So tonight we're going to do our budget workshop, basic overview. I'm going to feed a lot of information out. This is basically when I'm just going to give you all of the information. This is just informational for the board, for the public. The next time that we will have a meeting on this will be on October 5th. It's on the night of our board meeting. We will have a public hearing. At that point is when the public can come in and ask any questions that they would like about that. So that is exactly what the public hearing is for. And then on October 20th, that is the night that you as a board will adopt our budget with all of our figures for the next year. After that, I will submit it to the state, to the DLGF, and they will go through their processes of finalizing the information, and we will receive it back around January. So we have 5 funds that we deal with that have money going in and out. Our first one is our education. We've talked a lot about that one coming up recently because that is the money that receives state dollars. Those dollars are figured based on how many students we have from kindergarten to 12th grade. That does not include our pre-K. That does not include our adult ed. Kindergarten through 12th grade. Debt service, this is the fund where we only charge the amount of money that it takes to, number one, pay our debt services, so all of our bonds. Anything where we've taken out debt, this is where we gather the money to pay those debts. And it's mandatory for the taxpayers to do that. The operating referendum fund, this is what we've been talking about a lot lately. So we have a referendum fund that we're going to have on the ballot this fall that we're going to ask for an increase from 8 cents to 12 cents. This money will go specifically in this fund. And the reason it's called operating referendum, you can only use it for salaries and benefits. That's exactly what the money goes into that fund, and it's spent out of that fund for salaries and benefits for employees or the school. The next one is operations. It's kind of like how it's titled, it's the operations, the day-to-day. There's a lot of stuff that gets paid out of it. We can't just pay people to come. We got to pay for the lights and the air and the cleaning and all of that stuff. So all of that fun stuff gets to come out of operating. And then we have our rainy day fund. It is specifically just kind of what it says, rainy day. So we have to keep money back for the just in case. this is where we store those monies. Okay?
John,
Yes,
can I clarify one thing?
absolutely.
The operating referendum fund is whatever the proposed spending plan is. So our current proposed spending plan is the 1 penny for the Career Resource Center, the 1 penny for the early childhood, the 1 penny for the operations, and then the 9 pennies for wages and benefits for staff. So I just want to make sure that that was clear and all 12 wasn't going to wages.
I appreciate that, thank you. All right, average daily membership. This is what we call our ADM. These are the numbers of how many students, kindergarten through 12th grade, are enrolled and attend school here at Brown County. So I've got just some comparison numbers from the 05-06 school year. The number of belly buttons that we had was 2,421. This last school year, 2021-2022, we had 1,601. That's a decrease of 820. That is a lot. So I know that we've been talking about how our numbers are decreasing. This just kind of gives you a comparison from, I mean, it's been a while, but my goodness, those numbers, that's a third in that many years. That's crazy. But we're going to try to do whatever we can to take care of that and hopefully get those numbers going in the right direction. All right, so some basic assumptions that we use for the budget forecast. So this is when we're trying to see what numbers we're going to need to project for the next year. So the first one, obviously, efforts will be made to maintain responsible staffing levels for positions that are supported by the education fund. Remember, those are our teachers, those are our certified staff that are standing in front of our students. We need to maintain those levels. The other thing, a couple of things we've got, utilities, we were averaging about an increase about 10%. I know there's other utilities that are increasing more than that. That's one thing we've got to keep going. We know those rates are going to keep going up. All of our stuff just keeps rising. Property and casualty insurance increased by at least 10% each year. As of this past Monday, August 29th, our ADM, remember that's the average daily membership, our belly buttons, has decreased by 16 students over last year. So the state does counts twice a year, September and February. We're down 16 from last February. DLGF, Department of Local Government Finance, are the ones that certify, that tell us what we can spend and how much we're going to get. So we are fortunate in our county currently. There's a thing called circuit breaker, and it's the money, the property tax that we don't get. We are not impacted that much by it. There are other school districts that are really impacted. Our estimate that the DLGF gave us that we have to put within our formula for next year is $5,220 of a loss. Okay, so we are very fortunate that we're not impacted that much. We have other impacts. Thankfully, it's not circuit breaker. So now I'm going to go through those 5 funds that we talked about, kind of give you a basic understanding as to where we're at. So with each one of these funds, what I'm going to do, the first line talks about remaining approved expenditures, and the second line, requested expenditures. Let me explain what this means. So expenditures, we think is what we're going to spend. This is what we are asking the state if we can be allowed to spend it. So we have to play the Mother May I game with the state. We have to say, okay, we have this much money sitting here in this fund, and we're estimating to get this much more. Can we have approval to spend that money? Every government entity has to do this. So what we are going to do is the budget actually looks at 18 months. So it looks from July to December of this year, current year, 22, and then we'll look at all of 23. All of those figures as to what's remaining this year and what we're expecting or asking for next year to be approved to spend is involved in this budgeting process. So currently our education fund has remaining of $18,673, and then the request for next year of $21,480. So here's the reason why some of these are still higher. We have to ask for our best case scenario. We don't build it based on what we know we have to spend, because if we have opportunities to increase our staffing, increase the things that we can offer these kids, Obviously, yes, if we have the financial means, we would love to do it. The reason the budget comes into play is we have to have permission to spend that money. So if we have only advertised and adopted and given approval for our core and we need to increase it, then we have to go back to the state, ask for additional appropriations. There's money involved in that process, and it's not as simple. We can't just, oh, we have money sitting in the bank account, we can spend it. It's not that simple. There's a process, there's money involved that we would have to spend to be able to spend our own money. So that's why we have some extra built in for the just in case. So those are the remaining expenditures for this year, and then the request for next year. There is no levy and no rate because remember, education fund is the money we get is based on milli buttons, those counts. So that's why there's zeros for the levy and the rate. Debt service, these numbers are literally the amounts of money that we have to pay for the debts that we currently have. So the first line remaining for July through December, $2,062,671. That's how much I'm going to be paying out the rest of this year for the debts that we already have. For next year, the total for next year is $3,903,595. Again, those are what we have already committed to. That's what we have to pay. It's our bills. The advertised levy and the rate, we're asking for 4.5 million, which will give us a little bit over and above what we need. And then the rate just kind of calculates out to that. So on this, we, as a rule, always ask for a little bit above and beyond what we know we're going to have to get, because the DLGF, they work with the taxpayer. They protect that taxpayer. They don't let government units charge more than what they're allowed. There's rules around how much we can have in that debt service fund. They will bring us back down to the maximum of that cap. But we always want to make sure and ask on all of the ones we ask for levy and rate. We want to ask for a little bit above and let them bring us back, because otherwise we may lose out on property tax dollars that can go help fund the things that we need. The next fund is our referendum fund. So first thing that pops out is you see that our remaining approved expenditures for the last of this year almost matches the requested for next year. The reason for that, well, I guess not almost matches. The reason for that, what we currently do with our referendum money, when the money comes from the county and we put it in, the money that's going to be spent on our payroll, we pay straight out of that referendum fund. We do that normally towards the fall, and we have not done that yet. That's why we have such a large balance of what's left to be expended out of there. We will take care of that this fall. We always wait until things kind of, we get our tax draw in from the county, and we are able to have that money to be able to spend on our payroll. And then we have to go into our systems and manually change numbers so where that money comes straight out of that referendum fund. That's why we have that up there. So we are requesting 2.1 million in expenditures for next year, because if you look, we have advertised, we're going to advertise 12-cent rate. That is what we are asking our taxpayers to support to help fund our schools. So when we do that, it will bring in approximately 2.1 million on the levy. So obviously we are going to request to spend the money that is brought in. That is just basic. That's pretty much all that is. The operations fund, this one is controlled by the state as to how much levy we can get. Levy is literally the money. So what the state does every year, we have our max levy, maximum amount, and the state tells us how much we're allowed to ask for to grow it. This year, the state growth quotient was 5%. So what I did, I took what our current levy is for 2022, grew at 5%, and that's where we get the 5,553,425. The rate happens to calculate out to 0.3702 on that. On the expenditures, we do have a decent amount remaining. This is again where we have asked for permission to spend pretty much everything that we can fund within there. That way, if we have emergencies come up, we already have the approval to spend. Last one is our rainy day fund. Like I said, this one is just in case. So we have not spent anything out of it this year. This is a fund where we have an unexpected expense and we're trying to figure out where we can get those monies from. We have it available to us in rainy day. So what we're going to do is We've not spent anything out of it this year, and the million kind of takes us to what we will have available to us for next year. There's no levy, no rate that goes into there. The only time that we can have money go into the rainy day fund is if we have leftover that we've not used, like out of operations. We can transfer a small percentage into rainy day. Okay. Few things to consider when we look at our budget. Remember, it is 18 months. 18 months. That's a very large time span. That's a lot of calculations. That's a lot of assumptions when we go forward on those. The final budget, once again, is your appropriations, which is your whether may I spend this, your levy, and your rate. All of those will be approved by the DLGF. The assessed value, the AV, it has just been certified by our county. I'm hopeful that it remains with what it is. It did grow again, so that's going to help us. We have some extra little revenues: excise, financial institution tax, commercial vehicle excise tax, and local property tax, and then lit. We have some small little taxes that help go into those other funds to help supplement in. Education revenue we talked about is generated by our ADM, another numbers of belly buttons from kindergarten through 12th grade, only goes to the education fund. Federal sources. We are fortunate enough to have some amazing grants that Ms. Debbie finds for us and helps us out tremendously. Additional state money transfers, we stay within what the legal outline that we can do. Operating balance in each fund. This is something I want to make sure that everybody understands. So yes, we have some money in our rainy day. We need to also have an operating balance for our leftover at the end. We want to have some cash left. Let's say in our regular checking account, we use almost all of our money in our transmission loads. We got to have money. We don't have it. This is where we need to keep between 10 and 20% of our actual budget in an operating balance. That's why we need to make sure and be fiscally responsible, what the school has been, but that's another reason why we're asking for this referendum. These are the different advertised and actual certified rates. These are total rates for the school district. You can see the trends. Advertised is always higher than the actual because, again, we ask for more. State brings us down to what we can be. Now, 2022, if you see our actual rate is 0.6499. That's the total of all of our funds, property tax. On the bottom, you'll see the little information I have down there. Knowing that we, as a rule, advertise and adopt above what our rates will end up being to protect ourselves. I still calculate my best guess on what the rates will be, hopefully approved by the DLGF. When I went through that, the rates will calculate out to 0.6455. That's our projected tax rate for 2023. If you look, 0.6455 is less than our current rate of 6499. That is lower by 0.0044. This is including, this is important, this is including that 12-cent referendum rate. So if voters pass to support our schools and we get 12 cents, we still will end up lower than what our current rate is right now. That is good. This is our advertisement. There will be a link to our official advertisement that the state gives us. It will be on our website. It will show our information. It's a link to Gateway, which is a website that the state uses. They can look up our information, the county, their township, anything. You can look up any of them. All this information will be on our website, along with, we have 2 other small papers, CPF plan and bus replacement plan. Those are just papers that are required by statute. Any questions? Okay, if you think of anything else, we will have that public hearing on October 5th for your questions.
Thank you. And with that, discussion items, none. Do I have a motion to approve the public session minutes from August 18th, 2022? So moved. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Carol,
Yes.
Amy. Yes. Vicky. Yes. And Stephanie.
Yes. Motion carried. Action items
I have the recommendation to accept a donation from an anonymous donor to Brown County High School Theater Department in the amount of $1,000.
Do I have a motion to accept the donation from an anonymous donor to the high school theater department for $1,000?
I so moved.
Thank you.
And she moves and we move, we all move.
We all move.
Okay, and any discussion, whoever it is, thank you.
Yes, thanks so
I'm sure
much.
they will appreciate that.
Dan will be very excited.
And with that, roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes. And Stephanie?
Yes.
Motion carried. Next.
I have the recommendation to accept a donation from an anonymous donor to Brown County High School Track and Field in the amount of $1,000.
Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation for the donation for track and field in the amount of $1,000 from an anonymous person?
A second.
No, I don't run. If you see me running, we're in trouble, but I'm glad somebody's taking care of
Oh, yeah.
the kiddos out there.
Yes.
And we appreciate that. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Vicky?
Yes.
Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the recommendation to accept a donation from Michael and J.D. Laros to the CRC in the amount of $300.
Do you have a motion to accept the recommendation
I
to
so
accept the
moved.
donation from the Laros plan for the CRC in the amount of $300?
I so moved.
I'll second.
And
Thank you.
and we are very grateful to that. Any other discussion? Renee?
Carol?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the recommendation to approve an out-of-state field trip for the Brown County High School Spanish Department to travel to Chicago, Illinois, November 4th and 5th, 2022.
Do you have a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip for the Spanish department of the high school for Chicago trip on November 4th and 5th this year?
I so moved. I'll second.
Any discussion?
I love this trip. I'm really glad Ms. Spees is continuing to do it. It's a great opportunity for our kids to go see Spanish culture and a big city.
Agreed. And with that,
Carol?
yes.
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries. Six.
I have the recommendation to accept a donation from Mike's Ministry to the Way of the Eagle and the Development Program in the form of a monthly donation ranging from $50 to $120.
Do you have a motion to accept the donation from Mike's Ministry to the Way of the Eagle and Development Program for a monthly donation varying from $50 to $120?
I so moved. I'll second.
Any discussion?
What is the Way of the Eagle? The Way of the Eagle is the student program that Ms. Salisbury and Mr. Turner helped charge a couple kiddos with last year for increasing engagement at our extracurricular athletic events.
Like at the football game, they had the table there and everything, and they were doing stuff, which is pretty cool.
So the kids have named their own The Way of the Eagle.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds good.
And with that, roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Vicky?
Yes.
Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries. Next.
I have the recommendation to accept a donation from an anonymous donor to the Way of the Eagle in the amount of $200.
Do you have a motion to accept the donation from the anonymous donor to the Way of the Eagle for $200?
I'll second it.
We are grateful for that.
That's
too.
very nice. Very nice.
And with that, roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the recommendation to accept a donation from the Brown County Community Closet to the Brown County High School cheer team in the amount of $5,000 to help cover costs of new gear.
Do you have a motion to accept the donation from the Brown County Community Chest to the high school cheer team for $5,000?
I so do, and thank you.
Vicky helped raise that money.
I second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, the question is, so is it, it's varsity and reserve, yeah.
They're all together, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, okay.
They're all one team. That's great.
And we are definitely grateful for this.
Yes.
And I'm sure the kiddos are too. And with that, roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carried.
I have the recommendation to approve the resolution to furnish the transportation director and the maintenance director employed by the school corporation with corporation-owned vehicles to be used for school business purposes.
Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation to approve the resolution for furnishing transportation director and maintenance director of the corporation-owned vehicles to be used for school purposes?
Russell? I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would just, like, I am grateful for the consideration of approval of this recommendation. It is vital that these two people in these positions are out and can start driving from their homes to be able to check roads when it storms, whether it be rain, snow, ice, whatever it be. So it makes a whole lot of sense for them to be able to just start from their house instead of having to drive into Nashville to pick up a corporation vehicle.
I think it's really important in a transportation position and the maintenance position. And we're asking them to do an awful lot of traveling. And I'm really grateful they're the ones out there at 4 a.m. And checking the snowy roads, that's a really important part of the job. And again, also with the maintenance, with Eagle Park over there and all of our different buildings everywhere. It's a great thing, yeah. So I'm in support of it.
Which also lets us know whether they're going to be safe going down the road or not, too. So it protects everybody. And with that, roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries. Next.
I have the recommendation to approve the out-of-state field trip for Chris Townsend and 9 students to attend the International Manufacturing and Technology Show in Chicago, Illinois, September 11th through 13th, 2022.
Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation for the field trip out of state with Chris Townsend and 9 students to the International Manufacturing and Technology Show in Chicago next month, September 11th through 13th?
I so move. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Let's send them all to Chicago.
Yes. Well, it'd be nice if we could get them, bring Chicago here. Yeah, that would be even better. But anyway, with that, roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. And Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries.
For the consent agenda items tonight, I would like to be able to approve these separately instead of as a whole. So I will start with the separations of Brown County School Bus Driver Cassie Shipley, effective immediately.
Do you have a motion to accept the separation of the bus driver Cassie Shipley effective immediately?
I so move.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Vicky? Yes. Stephanie?
Motion carries.
I have the appointment of the Van Buren Elementary School ECA positions for the 2022-2023 school year, and we can approve this as one full group. Mandy Austin, instructional technology coach; Michael Brown, science bowl coach; Jill Julia, high ability coach; Tina Robertson, spell bowl coach; Michelle Wagers, mentor teacher; and Annette Fields, mentor teacher.
Do you have a motion to accept the Van Buren ECA positions for the 22-23 school year as presented?
I so move.
Any discussion? Thank you. And with that, roll call. Carol? Yes.
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the Helmsburg Elementary School ECA position for the 2022-2023 school year. Michelle Joy and Brenda Ely for math bowl coaches, which will split the stipend.
Do you have a motion to accept the Helmsburg ECA position for the math bowl coaches, 22-23?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Carol?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the Brown County Middle School eighth grade assistant football coach Ned Walker, Group 12, $1,278 stipend effective August 9th, 2022.
Do you have a motion to accept the middle school assistant football coach Ned Walker with a stipend of $112.78 effective August 9th, 2022? You make a motion.
I will make
One way or
a
the other.
motion that we consider it. I'll second.
Okay, now we're under consideration. I'm at loss. What does that mean?
I believe the discussion around this position has to do with something that came up on a background check. And I would like for the board to be able to have time to consider this before approving for hire.
Okay, there we go. So, okay, and so we have a first and second. Any other discussion on that? All right, roll call.
Carol,
Yes.
Amy? I'm confused about
Well,
what we're
we
voting
can
on.
see your motion to
We're
take this under
tabling it, right?
consideration.
Tabling it.
Okay,
Tabling it.
That's what I was gonna say, I'm
Tabling.
okay with tabling, but I am not accepting it.
Right.
Okay.
So, okay.
The roll call is tabling the,
We're tabling.
yeah,
So that's what yay means.
yeah, you're voting, yeah, so yes, you're saying yes, we're tabling.
Why don't we start over again? Carol?
Yes,
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie?
yes, thank you. Motion carries to table the, this appointment.
Yes.
I have the appointment for Brown County Middle School after-school supervisor Anna Enkees, $14.75 per hour effective August 15th, 2022.
Do you have a motion to accept the recommendation for the after-school supervisor in MQ 1475 per hour starting August 15th?
I so move. I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Carol?
Yes,
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie? Yes.
motion carries. Thank you.
And the Brown County High School custodian Katie Underwood, $12.25 per hour, part-time, no benefits, effective September 1st, 2022. This is a new position.
Do you have a motion to accept the high school recommendation for the high school part-time custodian Katie Underwood at $12.25 per hour effective tomorrow with no benefits?
I so move. I second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Carol?
Yes,
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Yes. Stephanie?
motion carries. Thank you.
I had Katie and Anna as students. Glad to see them as our new employees.
I have the transfer Brown County High School assistant softball coach Jonathan Sanders to Brown County High School head softball coach, $4,134 stipend. This is a replacement for Elise Bath.
Do you have a motion to accept the transfer of the assistant softball coach to head softball coach Jonathan Sanders?
Second.
Any discussion? I do. I'm gonna kill this slide one way or the other. It's driving me nuts.
Motion to kill the clock.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, roll call.
Carol?
Yes,
Amy? Yes. Vicky? Yes. Stephanie?
yes. Thank you very much.
So does that mean
And
we're
now we
looking-
have,
So does that mean we're looking for an assistant softball coach now?
It looks that way, but I'm not for sure, so I wouldn't put that on record. I have provided an update.
okay. And with that, superintendent's report.
Yeah, I want to sincerely thank Greg Kennard and Don Ray this evening for their detailed and informative presentations. Our entire team is working incredibly hard for our students, the staff, and the entire school community at Brown County. It really has, in the last 3.5 weeks, been so exciting to see what's ahead for us as a district. So thank you. This morning, 25 of our Brown County Schools ambassadors came to the high school in this room specifically and spent 2.5 hours learning all about our team, our vision and mission for the corporation. It was heartwarming to see so many community stakeholders come together and take a vested interest in the future of the schools. Our next meeting will be September 26th, and our focus will be the business of educating kids. So it will all be about business finance, and we don't just have one large pot of money that we can spend however we want. We will be able to talk a lot about transportation and what it looks like here in Brown County, food service and maintenance across the entire district. So there's so much more than just a classroom and the school building. So it will be a very popular event for us.
So
So
when did you say that was September what?
it is September 26th.
26, which is a Monday.
It should be a Wednesday.
September 26th is a Monday. It'll be September 28th.
28th.
Okay, I just didn't hear right from you, so, okay,
It's okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Last evening, we held our first new teacher induction meeting for all 18 new certified classroom teachers. I just want to thank our new teachers for such a successful start to the school year. I want to publicly thank those who are serving as a mentor to all of our new teachers, and then to everybody in the district who is absolutely going out of their way to ensure that our new staff feel good and they feel like they're a part of the family. Van Buren is holding an ice cream social. That is September 8th at 6 p.m. We are excited to see the Van Buren families and hope that everybody can make it. The 8th? The 8th, am I right? Is it the 8th? Okay. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
I wanted to be able to let everybody know the Brown County Schools website is now featuring a Get the Facts web page that is part of our site that's about the upcoming referendum. We do have a tax calculator on there that is live, and the community is able to go right to that website and plug in their information to find their exact tax investment. I encourage everyone to go take a look. Let us know if you have questions, comments, or concerns that we can look at for you. And then finally, I just want to congratulate all of our fall athletes. These kids are working really, really hard and learning all along the way. I want to thank our coaching staff and everyone involved that is ensuring that our fields, our courts, our courses are in great shape. Everybody's having a lot of fun. And then our COVID update, as of the end of the day today, August 31st, the number of quarantine positive cases across the district is the high school has 9, the middle school has 2, and Helmsburg Elementary has 1. All buildings are at less than 0.02% that are reporting symptomatic. So again, we report those weekly. If you go onto our website, the daily COVID metric, she still puts in symptomatic and number of quarantined currently. That's daily, but she provides an update weekly as well. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. And with that, do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Steve. Bye, Steve. Bye, Steve.
Bye.